Hi everyone. So welcome back. Again today we are discussing about some of the topics which is some of the elaborate topics in Java which is basically useful for those students who are BCA, who are BTech, who are MCA, who are even BSc, those who are having Java. They can be useful for this even for the interview or children's or those for those people who wants elaborate definitions, elaborate things for some of the five major topics which I have taken, and that five topics I'm explaining you. And those who, especially those who are BTech, BCA student, please take a pen and paper and start writing and start studying based on that, so that you will get good marks for that. Okay, so let's start. Okay. So first point, number one, we are going to take is write a note on an exception. So if you get a question like write a note on exception, basically if it is 5 marks or something, right? How do you write? How do you write? So I had given you a clear explanation about here. This is what you have to write, okay? So first point, number one, what is an exception you have to write, okay? The definition of the exception is an exception means or exceptional event is a problem that arises during the execution of a program. So when an exception occurs, the normal flow of a program is disrupted and the program or application terminates abnormally, which is not recommended. Therefore, these exceptions are to be handled. So normally, if you have a problem, if you have a program which was running very nicely, but there are certain data, because of the data, the program cannot continue further. So in that case, it will raise a problem. That problem, it is called as an exception. Exception means, like for example, if I give a value like 12 divided by 0. So 12 divided by 0, what is that? You cannot go further. When like you can't go for, it's an exception, it's a problem. In this case, it will raise a error. So this kind of n number of problems are there. These problems are, we call it as exceptions. Okay. So it stopped. That's we call it as disrupted the normal flow abnormally. So it has, we know that these kind of problems can come. We should handle it. So as a good programmer, you should, while writing the code only, you should know that when the customer giving this kind of data, there is a problem will come, so we should handle it. So actually, exceptions are lying in a package called java.land package. You can draw this also very nice. And it has a class called object. And it is derived to throwable, right? So if you draw along with the definition, if you draw this also will get marks. So it throwable is divided into two cases, that is errors and exception. Error means which you cannot handle it. Example, if current goes or something happen, virus attack, we cannot like handle these kind of stuffs. Exception means we can handle. Like just now I told you that, okay, person can give a denominator as 0, right? So there will be a problem comes, right? Suppose either my program is reading from a file, but the file is not there. Then also problems comes, right? Like that n number of problems. So these problems, they've named in different names like runtime exception, arithmetic exception, other like a number of exceptions. So exception is a major class. From there, it has been derived a number of exceptions are there. So those students, those who are writing for this, you should write the definition, you should draw this. This is very important. If you draw, no, you will get very mark. So much mark will be there. So that is called exception. Now, continuation to the exception. An exception can occur in many different purposes, as I told you, right? Where and all exception can occur. And this line, if possible, you write it is good. When a user enter invalid data, that time an exception can come. A file that need to be opened cannot found. Right? Just now I told. A network connection has been lost in the middle of the communication. So these are the problems. These are some of the problems which we told that because of that exceptions can come. Right? So if you write this also fine. It's not like, so important. If you write, then it's fine. But this is important. This is also important. We have 3 categories of exception. What are the 3? You have something called checked exception. That's very important. Checked exception. Checked means a checked exception is an exception that is checked by the compiler at the compilation time. So when you compile your program, that time only you will check for the exception. So that type of exception, we call it as checked exception, or we can call it as compile time exceptions. Right? These exceptions, you can ignore it. And programmers should take care of these exceptions. If you want, you can ignore. If you want, you can handle it. It's up to them. There is another kind of exception, we call it as that is unchecked exception. Unchecked exception. Unchecked means it occurs at runtime, at the time of execution. You cannot do it. Depends on the data. It depends on your logical error or improper usage of API, wrong usage. These are all, library functions, improper usage. These are all can be unchecked exceptions. So there are 2 guys. One is checked exception, and this is very important. You need to learn this and write it. It's very, this you can ignore, at least this you have to write. But it's very important. Now again, continuation when you say that is exception case, errors. One more. So 3 we told. Checked, unchecked, and errors. Errors means what? These are not exception, but problem that arise beyond the control of the error. Like, we can't do anything. Errors are typically ignored in your code because you are rarely do anything about that. For example, stack overflow. Some infinite came and stack overflow, you cannot control it. And certain times we can't control anything, we can't do anything. That comes under errors. So 3 things, that is checked exception, unchecked exception. These are very important stuff, and errors. So write a note on an exception case. You have to write what is the definition of an exception, draw this hierarchy, and next, if you can't study this, at least you study the 3 categories: checked exception, unchecked exceptions, and the errors. These are very, very important. So you hope you guys understood about the note on an exception. Okay. So next is, what are the different ways to handle an exception? So you understood about exception. So based on that exception, there are 5 keywords are there. These are 5 keywords. These 5 keywords that are used to handle the exceptions. So with the 5 keywords, we are trying to handle our exceptions. So what are the 5 keywords? That is, 5 keywords are try. So anywhere if you have a problem, you should put that line inside the try. So try keyword is used to specify a block. We should place an exception code. It means we can't use try block alone. Try block must followed by either catch or finally. So this try block is dependent on catch or finally. Either one should be right or both can also write. So whenever there's a problem, you should write inside the try. Immediately catch will follow. The catch block is handling the exception. It must be preceded by the try block, which means we can't use catch block alone. It can be followed by finally block also later. Okay. So if there is a problem in try, immediately catch will call. You can even write finally also. What is the use of finally? The finally block is used to execute the necessary code of the program. It is executed when an exception is handled. So for example, you opened a file and you have to close it, but there was a problem, you cannot close it. So it will come to catch, because when there is a problem, it will stop your programs. So it will come to catch and stop. So catch, you have to say close the file. If there is no problem, it won't come to catch. Then you have to write that after that, right? So 2-3 times you have to write. Instead of that, you write only once in finally. So if there is a problem, not a problem, both the case finally will execute. So that is the use of finally. Now throw. Throw means you don't have any problem on your code. But you don't like certain data, certain things, you don't have to go forward. You have to forcefully make an exception. Then go for throw. You can forcefully trigger an exception. That's called throw. Now throws. Throws means it is also declared as exception. It specifies that there is many occur exception in this method. It doesn't throw an exception. It is always used as a method. So there are a lot of places where exceptions are catching. You don't want to catch here also. You just simply need to throw it out. In that case, you can go ahead and use throws. So there are 5 keywords. That is try, catch, finally, throw, throws. So I hope you guys understood about this different ways of handling the exception. That this much if you write, you will get good marks. So next, define package and create user-defined. First of all, you should understand what is a package. So normally, most of the students and people doesn't know the definition of a package. You can write it for definition also. So what is a package? Package in Java are a mechanism to encapsulate a group of class, interfaces, and subpackages. Java it is used to making, searching, locating, usage of classes, interface, enumerations, and notations. Example I'll tell you. For example, if you go to a library, you can say their library books are categorized and gifted, right? Categorized and gifted. Categorized in the sense, it's like computer book one side, science book one side, and you can see arts books one side, you can see language books one other side. So if you want to take a language book or an English book, I don't have to go around and search anywhere. I just need to go to that particular point. Right? So I categorized everything and arranged it in a proper structured way, so that searching is easy, locating is easy. Same way, in a project, there will be a number of files, classes, things will be there. So you can categorize and put it in different folders. Normally we call it as folders. And we put one in one folder, another in another folder, another in another folder. What is the use of that? Tomorrow, if you want to search something, you can go to that particular folder only. You don't have to search anywhere like that. So, a Java consists of lot of classes, interfaces, enumerations, notations. These guys, even subpackages also there. Even these folders in Java, we call it as packages. Subfolders, we call it as sub-packages. So these guys are keeping it inside. Classes, interface, enumerations, and notation. Annotations are the guys are keeping inside. Okay, so packages means nothing but the mechanism to encapsulate a group of classes, interface, sub-packages. It is used to make the search, locating, and usage of classes, interface, enumerations, and annotations. Now, packages are categorized into two guys, built-in package and user-defined package. Built-in package means the Java only they had created a number of classes and kept it in like similar type of stuff. They kept it in one place. Another stuff they kept it in one place. Like that they used to call it a java.io. IO means input output stream classes are residing in this package. Normal basic things are residing in Java land package. So these are all they only built up and they kept it there. So you just need to import and use it. So this kind of things we used to call it as built-in packages. Now, there are some classes, some things for a project use. We have to write our own. That we call it as user-defined package. For our purpose, what is needed for your project purpose, we will write. And we will kept it in our own packages. So, as a name purpose, user-defined packages in Java are essentially packages that are defined by the programmer. So, whenever we want to add a class to a package, we have to mention the package name. So, if you want to do a package, you have to use the name called package as a keyword. Now, if you don't use keyword like in Eclipse, NetBeans or all IDs, there are options to create by package. It will automatically create package. You don't have to write as a package name. So if you write manually by yourself, you have to write. Otherwise, if you are going through Eclipse, you are going for NetBeans, Visual Studio or any ID, there are options where you just select the option, create package, it will create. Okay, so that is how user-defined package has to be met. Now, in this they are telling we have to write the user-defined package. So when you write, not in doing, I'm telling as an examination point or an interview point, when you are writing a package, you should mention package example. When you do it through the interface, this will automatically created by the IDs. So package example. So example is a package where all the similar kind of classes, interface things will be located there. So you see public, that's the only thing you need to note here is we are mentioning package example. That is the point here. You need to say. Then you write similar like any class you write, not a problem. Package example. Then you see the public class package example void show. I just show one method and the main I created object of the class and just call the show. So that is how. This is how a package has to be created. So you guys, once again, when you get a question, define package and create a user-defined package, you need to note it out. What is package? You can use this package for definition also. You can, if it is 3 marks, 5 marks, you have to write based on that. So built-in packages, user-defined packages. So if they are asking to write a user-defined package, then you have to write your user-defined. Main point in this, you need to mention the package name. So then only it become a package. Okay, so that's very important. So hope you understood about this question. So next, write the life cycle of a multi-threading. So we all know, first point we all should know what is a thread. What is a thread? A thread means is nothing going with different life cycle. We all know about multitasking, previous video, I have told you about multi-threading. So there are like different stages of a life cycles are there. Whenever a thread is born, it has a cycle is there. What is a cycle? A thread has to born. First, he has to like the way how do we born, the way he also borns. And he started running. He started his running and he will do his job. Sometimes he might have to wait for somebody else. Sometimes he might have to timed waiting. They'll be telling, okay, wait for 10 minutes, wait for 10 seconds. And in between again he will come back to the running stage and they dies off. Everybody has a life cycle. Just like that, thread also has a life cycle. So thread life cycle is new and it will be in a running state. Sometimes he will be waiting state. Sometimes somebody is telling to time the waiting. Somebody is telling to terminate. This terminated is called as a dead point. So you have to do this and you have to draw the life cycle of a thread. Don't forget, if you have to draw the life cycle of a thread. Now you need to explain each stages. New. What is a new? New is nothing but a born thread. Like begins the life cycle of a new state. It remains in the state until the program starts the thread. Whenever the program gets started, it will go to start. And it is referred to as a born thread. Next, after the new, it will come to the running stage. He will be in a running point. After the newborn thread, the started. The thread become runner. He will be in a running stage. And thread is in the state considered to be, he's doing his work and task. Okay. Now waiting. Somebody in between, like you will say, okay, not doing any job. For example, Gmail. You are opening and you are doing something and you literally left and went. You didn't log out, but you are in a waiting stage. So that's called waiting. A thread transition to be a waiting stage while the thread waits for another thread to perform a task. Thread transition back to the runnable state only when another thread signals the waiting thread to continue. So just like I told you, you are in a Gmail, but you didn't log out. But you went out and it became idle. You are in a waiting stage. Will you come back there? Timed waiting. Timed waiting means you can see in a bank sites. And you opened your bank and doing your transactions. But you went from there. And you didn't log out. You can see that they will wait for only for 1 minute. If you don't come back in the 1 minute, he will automatically log out. That's called timed. There are time giving for the waiting stage. In the period of time, if you don't come back and don't do any execution, any task, it will go to the runnable and it will die. So a thread state can enter the timed waiting state for a specified interval of time. A thread in the state transition back to the runnable state when the time interval expires or when the event is waiting for us. That's it. Now, whenever we're waiting or a timed waiting, both the cases, it won't die from there. It will go to the runnable and then die. So, terminated means dead. A runnable thread enters the terminator state when it completes the task. Whenever the task is completed, it all dies. Just like that we also do, no? When we born, we dies. Our things done, we like same thing. Everybody has a life cycle. This life cycle is new, runnable, waiting, timed waiting, and terminated. So, when you're writing a multi-threading, you must make sure that thread should be various state. Don't forget to draw this image. And the next, you have to explain all these 5 points. It's very, very important. So I hope you guys understood about that. So let's go to the next. That is, next point is, you have to explain the life cycle of an applet. This guy also has a life cycle, applet. So what is the life cycle? So I have given a picture here. That picture you need to draw. First is init method. then it goes to the start method, then it goes to the paint method, stop and destroy. Now you need to explain then each one. Each one you need to explain. So applet has how many methods you are here? 5 methods. That is init method, start, paint, stop and destroy. Okay. Now init, what does the init do? He is just entering, that is initializing an applet. It will evoke only once at a time, initialization. So he will initialize the objects, create web browser. We can compare this method with a thread bound state. Okay. So he's only once he goes there, he will initialize everything and he does that. Then after that, he directly goes to the start method. Start method is the one who's starting the applet. And it is evoking after the init method only. And it evokes each time when browser loading, refreshing until init method is evoked. Start is inactive state. So we can compare this method with the thread state. Right? Now, like if whenever you wanted, you can stop it. Stop method is to stop the applet. It doesn't mean it died. No, just simply stop. That's it. Stop the work. And it is evoked every time when browser stopped or minimize or some failure in application or some after like stop method. After we can also start. After stop doesn't mean it doesn't die. We can start again. We can start again. And that we can compare with the thread block state. Okay. Now destroy. Destroy means completely destroying from the memory. Complete. So you cannot start again. After destroying, you cannot start again. So destroy method is used to destroy the application once we are done with our applet. It evokes only once. Once applet is destroyed, we can't start applet. We can compare with the method test state. So paint means when you start an applet, then you have in applet, everything is painting. So painting here means any shapes like square, rectangular or eclipse, anything you draw here is called as a painting. There are a lot of methods, graphics methods are here. Based on that graphic method, we do the paintings of here. Everything is a painting for that. So we had a window. In that applet window, whatever you want to paint, whatever you want to do, that is used by the paint method. So after the init, start, the paint can run. Then stop, destroy. So whenever you want to stop, you can stop, you can start, restart again. Then, but once when you destroyed, you cannot restart. So I hope you guys understood. There are 5 methods. What are the 5 methods? Init, start, paint, stop and destroy. So these 5 methods you have to learn. So when in your examination, if they are asking you to write, you don't forget to draw this picture of the life cycle of an applet with the 5 methods, and please explain about these 5 methods. Then only you will get minimum 5 marks. So I hope you guys understood about this. Okay, so if you want 8 marks, more marks, you need to write one more example. So every cases, whatever cases, five questions I have taught you here. That 5 questions, once again, I just refresh. So you have a look over here, 5 questions. That is first point, write a note on exception. So here, all these points you need to know, and if it is an 8 mark, you write one example also. So you get more marks will get. Now in this case also you can write one examples. Each examples if you write, if it is more mark, you can write. If it is 5 marks, this is enough. Now if in this case also it's already there, like you want, it's enough for that. Okay. Now in next case, in the life cycle of multi-threading also, you have to draw the picture and you have to explain this, and you can write an example if you want for 8 marks. Now, if you want an applet case, you just draw the picture and you have to explain this and write one example, you will get 8 marks. So that is called the These are the things. 5 questions only I have taken right now for today. Now, if you guys next wait for tomorrow, subscribe. You wanted anything more to I have to do, then you have to write it on the comment section so that I'll do for you guys. And 5 questions right now today I explain. And tomorrow I'll bring with another 5 questions. So please do subscribe so you get the notifications. I hope it will be useful for you guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again tomorrow with another 5 more questions. Thank you.